My first background was in geology, specifically in paleobiology. So, really looking at the study of living things in the fossil record, if you like, which is more about paleoecology, right? Mixed environments and so on and so forth. I also worked as a zookeeper for a little while, but in recent years, I've been doing most of my work with soft tissue inside dinosaur bones, particularly ancient biomolecules, right, and analyzing. So we take bones, we take particularly dinosaur bones, and we've really got ourselves a little bit of a sequence, okay? So we've started with a mammal bone, a Paleotherum bone, which is supposedly 33 million years old. We've gone back to things like iguanodon bones at 130 million years old. We've gone back to Jurassic Edmontosaurus rib bones, which are supposedly 150, 160 million years old. We've gone back to crocodilian bones at supposedly over 200 million years old. Okay, so a nice wide range of this, so-called soft tissue. What we do is we start off by taking a sample. You have to grind your sample pretty fine in order to be able to get it broken down enough, digest the bone, and then you end up with a test using a mass spectrometer. Now, I'm just going to share my screen here in order to give you a little bit more of an idea about what we're looking at, okay, in terms of explanation. Here we go. And we're going to try and break the science down to as simple as we can. So hopefully you can see that on the screen now. Can you see that up on the screen? Yeah, good. Okay, now you're not going to be able to read all of the words because they're tiny. This is a proper academic poster, okay? This is something that we present in a secular research conference, basically detailing results, okay? Now, you might just be able to see the picture in the middle of the jawbone that we tested. So this is a Paleotherum jawbone. It's a mammal jawbone, sort of like a small sort of tapir type thing, right? Which supposedly is 33 million years old. Now, remember the comments of Buckley. Any kind of soft tissue, particularly collagen, should be non-existent in anything over 1 million years, given our current understanding of the science behind the decay of soft squidgy stuff inside dinosaur bones. Now, this is a poster detailing some of the results that we found, and it was found using a technique called mass spectrometry. Okay, mass spectrometry in a nutshell. There's your periodic table of elements, right? You remember it from high school, okay? And you've got your periodic table of elements with all your different elements in it, and you'll remember that there are numbers, okay? Numbers all the way up to where are we, 120 or something now. I think we're on 118 on there. Okay, so this is called the atomic number. Now, the atomic number gives you a detail of how much mass there is inside this particular atom, right? The more mass there is, the higher the atomic number. Now, if you look at number 1, right up in the top left-hand corner, you'll find that it's hydrogen. Okay, and you should know something about hydrogen. It's extremely abundant in the universe and it's extremely light. And this is for good reason. You see, normally an atom is made up of 3 parts, a proton, a neutron, and an electron. Hydrogen is only made up of 2 parts. Number 2 is helium. You know that helium is light because you fill your balloons with it, right? All the way up to the big one on the middle as an example, right, is iron, which has an atomic number of 26. In other words, you've got lots of different masses, lots of different, think of it as weights, okay? Well, what is a mass spectrometer? Well, there's me working on a mass spectrometer in the lab. There's one of our colleagues trying to work out which tube goes in which bottle. And in particular, this is known as a LCMS, that's liquid chromatography mass spectrometry. Now, what we do is we get our dinosaur bone, we've got our sample, we've digested it and demineralized it, we are left with a solution. And in that solution, if there's anything that's organic in the bone, it'll be left in that solution. We then run it through this mass spectrometer. And inside the mass spectrometer, there is a column. Now, the column is a very, very thin but very, very long coil, okay? It can be several meters long, in many cases, sometimes tens of meters long, okay? Really, really long coil, but very, very thin. And you take the solution and you blast it through the column. Now, remember that table of elements, right? Really light all the way to the really heavy elements based on their mass, which is based on their atomic number. So anything light is going to whiz around the column really, really, really fast and reach the receptor first. And then the heavier items and the more complex molecules are going to go around slightly slower and reach the receptor slightly later. Okay, what are the results that we find? Lots and lots of squiggly lines on a nice graph, and most people probably won't be able to interpret that. So let's break it down. Okay, can you see on the bottom you've got 1085 and 1086, right, on both the green squiggly lines as well as the red squiggly lines. Now this is what we call the mass range. Okay, it gives you an indication of what is being found and how heavy what is being found is. Now, we won't go into some of the complex science, but I just want you to notice one thing. Okay, the red one on the bottom is modern day turkey bone. Now, turkey bone is going to be full of collagen because it's a bone and it's fresh and it's modern. It was from Christmas dinner, right? And so we test the turkey bone because we know that it's going to be full of collagen. It's what we call our control. And so we look in the mass range of 1085 to 1086, which is where collagen should be if it's found, and you can see all the lots of little squiggly lines. Now, the little peaks, we call them, the squiggly lines up, is an indication that something has been found. Now, in the general rule in mass spectrometry, if you find 4 or more peaks, you've got good, strong evidence that what is you suspect is there actually is there, okay? So we can simply, let me get my little pointer up here so we can show you. There we go. We can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, little one there, 7, couple of little ones there, 8, and 9. So we've got very good, strong evidence, okay, because we've got way more than 4, that there's lots and lots of collagen in this turkey bone, which is what we would expect because it's a fresh bone. Okay, well, let's go to our Paleotherum jawbone. You see here, PLM jaw 2. This is the green one. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, couple of little ones, 6, 7. Okay. So we've also got good evidence that there is collagen inside the Paleotherum jawbone. But not just that. Once you've actually scaled the two together, notice the correlation. Peak here, peak here. Little bump of a peak there, but a peak there and a peak there. Peak there and a peak there. Big old peak there, just like the turkey bone. Little one there, one there. So in other words, not only are there lots of peaks in the collagen spectrum for the Paleotherum jawbone, but they pretty much match the peaks that are found in the turkey bone as well. And the peaks are in roughly the same ratio and pretty much at the same time stamp. So remember, you've got your big long coil and your stuff whirling through it, and so you should find collagen at about the same time no matter what sample you test, particularly if you test on the same day. So the point is now the great thing about this, right, is if you just take, a thin section of your bone and stick it under a microscope, you get lots of pretty pictures of what appears to be soft, squidgy stuff. And I suspect that it is. I'm pretty convinced of that. But all pictures are open to interpretation. The nice thing about this is that there's very little open to interpretation about it because you're just dealing with a string of numbers. You're actually examining and you're actually testing what is physically inside the bone, and you're getting a big long string of numbers which you can actually compare one to the other. So this is a really nice example of good, strong evidence that you're finding collagen inside this sample. Now, I'd love to go one step further, okay, and just finish off by making the rather important point that the big question about all this research is, what about contamination? How do you know that I haven't spat in it or dropped some, skin in it or so on and so forth? Okay, well, remember I mentioned that crocodilian bone we tested, over 200 million years old? Well, the nice thing is that even evolutionary speaking, crocodiles have remained crocodiles for over 200 million years. Now, that's some good evidence of living fossils against evolution. But it also is handy for us because what we did is we took that crocodile bone, we not only tested it using mass spectrometry, right, and several other techniques, we actually did proteomic analysis. In other words, sequencing the protein that we found inside the bone, that protein being collagen. Now we can take that sequence, we can run it through a database and see if there's any matches. In other words, can it match any real world collagen that we still have today? And this 200 supposedly million-year-old crocodile bone matched not only the Nile crocodile, but also the saltwater crocodile and the Chinese crocodile. In other words, you have very good, strong evidence of the endogeneity, the fact that this soft tissue is actually from that bone. It's not contamination, and it is impossible to be millions of years old given our current knowledge in science.